Welcome back, everybody, to Hoops HD. It is, what is it? It's the early morning hours of Friday, March 13th, Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
Also, it's time for our Championship Week video notebook, day number 11 or night number 11.
it, it's
I'm your host, Chad Sherwood.
it's very late.
We got David Griggs. We got something popping up on my screen. We got Joey Fortson and John Salika with us. And let me see where we are here. We've got the Championship Week video notebook. And if we do this right, we should actually get
Yeah,
that get on the screen.
yeah. I think you've covered that, Chad. This is the Championship Week Video Notebook, Day 11.
I got good news for everybody. David Griggs is still locked in the puppet bunker. Uh, and as we mentioned, we've done a little research here, and he's been in the puppet bunker since Championship Week started 40 years ago. There's the 1986 puppet bunker picture. If you haven't seen that yet. But Griggs, I did a little more research today, actually.
No, well, what
Uh,
did you find? Well,
the NCAA tournament started in 1939.
yes.
Oh, this is what I found in our archives, way in the bottom drawer.
Oh, that was a wild year.
So you're telling me that sandwich is 87 years old?
It is. Uh, let's get to a little news and notes. And actually, if you can all just give us a second here, we do need a moment of silence.
I I'm not okay.
No CBI this year.
Because of
Um,
circumstances beyond their control. What were the circumstances beyond their control other than nobody wanted to pay to play in this hunk of crap?
is that circumstances beyond their control?
Yeah, I mean, I think that might have something to do with it.
Well, the AC8 has completely cornered the market on that.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
except for the best of three championship part.
I would love to go to Daytona to cover this tournament, but not to cover the tournament.
Well, you could do that this year.
Yeah, I know you can.
Uh, let's get to what happened on the court. And before we actually get what happened today, we did record early last night, and we're recording a little early tonight again. Um, it was before the Big Sky Championship game. So I wanted to take a few seconds to give a shout out to the Idaho Vandals. Came out of the 7 seed, won 4 games, and back in the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1990. So congrats to the Vandals. Heck of a run there.
It really was a heck of a run. Pretty much dominated all the games except for maybe the quarterfinal game. I don't want to say they dominated Montana, but they were in control the whole time, and they didn't really have to sweat in any of these games. Despite being the seventh place team, you had mentioned they had some of the better metrics, and they finished the season strong. And is this another example again of Portland State clearly had the best year, but they played in and won so many close games. It was a little bit like Miami, Ohio light in the Big Sky. Is Idaho the best team? I'm thinking the way that they were playing, not just in this tournament, but down the stretch that they may have been, and the metrics seem to suggest that.
It was also a double dip for the Lady Vandals as well, who won the women's Big Sky title game. So got double celebrations.
Awesome. Well, congrats to Idaho. They will be hearing their name called Sunday night. One team that might be sweating about it, I think we're going to start here. The upset of the day, probably. Miami, Ohio, first game of the day. UMass. They've been playing with fire the last 4 or 5 games, and
4 or 5 months.
Joby, they finally got burned today, and
Yeah.
we think they're still in, but there's still that question mark now because this was a bad loss.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, this is not Marcus Camby's UMass. For those who just passively, this is Angry Frank's UMass, and it's a sub 200, at least entering today, a sub 200 net team, and it's just not. It's not a good loss at all. I think they're still in. As a matter of fact, it makes a lot of sense if you're the tournament selection committee to have them in Dayton because it's a 45-minute drive. So, but they're going to be nervous, and they will be if CBS is smart, which they are. They will have a camera on this. One of the places where they will have a camera will be in Oxford, Ohio.
So, when you look at Miami, Ohio, I agree with Joby that I think that they're in, but I also agree that they should be nervous because I don't think I want them to get in. But part of me thinks it wouldn't be totally outrageous if the committee did not select them. Their schedule was very weak, and had they avoided just this loss and maybe lost in the semis to either Toledo or Bowling Green, I think that that's I think that that's different than losing to UMass. I still think they're in, but no one with the schedule this week has even really been close to being selected. And while they were undefeated, they had 28 D1 wins. I remember a team with 26 D1 wins that played a schedule that wasn't as tough, that wasn't selected either fairly recently, that Murray State team from a few years back.
Slika, there were three other games in the MAC as well, and especially that Toledo Bowling Green game came down to a missed shot at the buzzer, and Akron Buffalo was a good one too.
I know we've talked about the wagon wheel as the signature rivalry for the MAC in the 21st century, but don't forget the battle for I-75, where you have Toledo and Bowling Green that are only about 25 miles apart from one another and have never met in the NCAA tournament. Now, Toledo is another team that's going to be Toledo's going to be another team that's going to be looking to end a long tournament drought. They haven't been to the tournament since I want to say 1980, back when Toledo's favorite son, Jamie Farr, was still starring on MASH.
Okay.
We-
If you say so.
we've got Toledo, UMass, Akron, Kent State. The Akron Kent State game, circle that one tomorrow night.
Yeah.
That was absolutely great rivalry, and now Akron set up with a clear path if they can get past the rivals to make the NCAA tournament, not even have to worry about beating Miami.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we didn't get the showcase championship game that at least I wanted, but yeah, we still get the wagon wheel, albeit as a semifinal game. This one's going to be wild. You almost wonder, will there be any fans at the first game?
They'll just
don't
be
think
early
so.
arriving wagon wheel fans.
Yeah, I mean that's what it'll be. It'll be filled up by the end of the game, but it's a single session ticket, and I think that Akron and Kent State are going to be 80% of of the purchases.
Over in the ACC, Joby, we had a hell of a day. The early games were the ones on the bottom there, including your Virginia team winning. Good games between Miami, Louisville. Great game between Duke and Florida State, and God knows what the hell Clemson tried to do against North
Oh
Carolina.
my gosh. For those who didn't see it, Clemson was up very comfortably. We have a expression on this show called Clemsoning. It was in full progress. And then Clemson saved themselves with what was actually a pretty smart play, which is an anachronism for what normally Clemsoning is. Clemson's up one, they get fouled, two free throws. First free throw was unintentionally missed, and so with 2 seconds to go, Carolina's probably taken a three anyway, just because of the time component. So the best move is to intentionally miss. Line drive, hit off the rim, sure enough, missed. Carolina did not have time to do anything more than a heave from 10 feet 10 feet on the other side, on the wrong side of half court. And so give Clemson credit for hanging on. It'll be a lot of fun. Duke showed with their injuries. Remember, Duke is missing Ngamba and Foster. Duke showed some weakness against what is a hot Florida State team, one of the hottest teams in the country, definitely the hottest among teams that will not be in your field. So it'll be an interesting game between Duke and Clemson.
And that was also a game where Florida State actually had a better shot than Carolina did to potentially win the game, but couldn't get past the Duke trees and the Blue Devils escaped to the semifinal round.
Florida State played a fantastic game. They were a great team, or a really good team in the last 4 weeks of the season.
Mhm.
A clear tournament team. I think a top 25 caliber team, the way they were playing down the stretch. Unfortunately, the season starts in November. And when you look at the whole body of work and how many times, I mean, that phrase is seared into your brain. They don't have the tournament caliber profile.
If they had beaten that, it goes all the way back to the early preseason. If they
Yeah.
beat that Florida team, we probably have a very different conversation
Yeah.
right now. It was a very tight game.
It
Even
took,
if they
Florida
beat
State
UMass on a neutral court, their win-loss record's a lot different.
yeah.
We've got an interesting game between Virginia and Miami tomorrow night, also in the early game. I think that could be a really good game.
Two
Virginia,
coach of the year can't runners up to Shire. Shire certainly was a worthy winner, but Lucas and Odom, both first year coaches who have really taken teams well beyond what the preseason expectations were. Preseason expectations did not have either team in this semis, but these, as the 2 and 3 seed, are very deserving semifinals.
That's a really good point, Jimmy.
over in the Big East, Griggs. Oh, let's go to Salika. You're our Big East guy. I know you don't want to talk about what happened between UConn and Xavier, but Seton Hall kind of controlled Creighton, but the bigger story was that nightcap with Georgetown, major upset of Villanova.
UConn's win was for the greater good, just so Xavier can start on 2026-27 roster construction. Now, don't be deceived by the final score by St. John's and Providence, where the Johnnies jumped out to a quick 20-point lead in the first half and never really let off the gas. Creighton's another
Other
team.
than I fooled Griggs into thinking that it was
Oh,
a close
shut
game,
up.
but that's not the story.
Yeah.
Now, Creighton is another team that stumbled badly during the second half. Seton Hall looked like they were going to be one possible bid thief, but one we did not count on is going to be Georgetown, who's been without their leading scorer for the past couple weeks. They've suddenly picked off 2 wins in a row in Villanova. They look completely lost without Hodge in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, this Villanova team scores 77 points a game. They barely got to 64 today. They just no-showed this game. We still think they're in the tournament, but they could be sitting around the 9-10 line at this point. What about these games tomorrow, Joby? St. John's, Seton Hall, UConn, Georgetown.
Well, if you are a team like Texas or SMU or even maybe Miami of Ohio, you are big St. John's and UConn fans. I think they will be rewarded with that. I do think we're going to have a fun St. John's UConn final.
Yes.
But
After a very unfun semifinals.
yes, I think double digits wins are in order. We always can be proven wrong in March, but these teams, St. John's and UConn have been the class of the Big East all year. I don't see that changing tomorrow.
Talk about a kind of an unfun conference tournament tonight in the Big Ten. Iowa made a bit of a run late to make the Ohio State game close, and Washington came back from 18 down to actually have a shot to tie Wisconsin. But the night games were awful. Purdue and UCLA kind of rolled. Griggs, go ahead. Any thoughts on these games?
Well, no real thought. I mean, they weren't complete blowouts, but they went about the way that you would expect. Rutgers and Northwestern tried, but they were just overmatched. And sometimes the Big Ten, like a lot of these bloated conferences, some of these early rounds, you just have to kind of get through them to get to what is a very, I think, compelling semifinal day or quarterfinal day.
These are 4. I don't know, Salika, you're our historian. I don't know that we've ever had a situation where a conference heading into the quarterfinals, all 8 teams had already locked up in our mock committee tournament bids, but that's what's happened this year in the Big Ten. This might be a first.
Yeah, we'll get to this.
It's
We've selected
happened.
all 8. Yeah.
We'll talk about our mock committee at the end of the show, but all 8 have already been selected. I've seen situations where we had 6 out of 8, and then by the time we got to the evening session, it was locked up, but 8 out of 8.
8 out of 8 thanks to UCLA finishing off Rutgers. I was also going to point out from last night, Purdue did not show any opening day jitters. Wisconsin looked like they might have been playing with a little fire, but Washington could have been that one outlier that Chad mentioned.
Yeah. We got Mike Todd joining us, and Mike, perfect timing for you to tell us what your thoughts are on tomorrow's Big Ten quarterfinal day.
Well, first of all, there might have been one other time where all 8 teams in the Big Ten are teams that are projected to be in the NCAA tournament. But like you said, but you're right, it rarely happens. Usually it's like 6 out of 8 or 7 out of 8. Um, yeah, these are all great matchups.
Yeah,
If I'm Michigan, I would at least win tomorrow's game because no national champion has won after losing its opening game in the conference tournament. So.
in the it's happened in some other conferences.
No. Griggs actually, I read the stat, I believe it going back into like 1985. No national champion has ever lost before the semifinals of their conference tournament.
What about the
And
North
it,
Carolina Invitational year? What year
you
was
have
that
to
when they
you
did?
have to read Titel's recaps prior to the NCAA tournament each year. He will remind us of this historical fact.
Okay. I thought North
Uh,
Carolina lost their quarterfinal game the year
Seven.
the year they just blew through it like the most dominant 6 games of my lifetime.
Well, Joby, let me ask you, the games other than Michigan, Ohio State, what Illinois, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Purdue, Michigan State, UCLA, it's going to be a real fun day tomorrow in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I point out, the one that jumps out. I mean, Ohio State has been on a roll.
Yeah.
Give them credit before they run against Mike's Michigan Wolverines. But the one that jumps out, if you're looking for seeding purposes and NCAA tournament impact, Nebraska Purdue should really capture your attention because these are two teams that are projected right now on the 3 line. Does the loser fall out to the 4 because there's some teams, with Kansas winning tonight, Virginia winning, Alabama looming. There's teams looming that can take their place. Unless Michigan State falls on their face or Illinois, room I don't see room on the 2 line for these guys. So they might have hit their ceiling, and so the question is, are you gonna be able to get that 3 line spot, which not only do you avoid the 1, but you have a better chance of avoiding getting shipped out to Portland or San Diego in the sub-region.
UCLA could do a lot for their seeding also, though, because if they beat Michigan State, this will be their best win of the season. They do
Yes.
not have a great win away from home. This would be that. Not road win, but at least a neutral court win. Um, let's go here. Stalika, Big 12 day here. We were in the quarterfinals with Arizona, Iowa State, Houston. Maybe the Kansas TCU game was kind of close till the end.
I would say Iowa State's been the team that's been on a rampage for the past couple days. Now, against Arizona State, that's no shock. Just put Bobby Hurley out of his misery. But doing it against the Texas Tech team that had been showing mettle post-top and injury, that one did show me something impressive for the Cyclones. And Arizona, they also get a nice blowout win against UCF, which also makes the Knights a little more nervous going into Sunday, given that A, they did not look that good, and B, you've got teams later on like Oklahoma and Ole Miss that are also going to potentially be joining the bid thief parade.
Yeah, I think that may be the question coming out of this conference here. Greg's UCF still enough to get in. I thought they got that with the Cincinnati win.
I think so. They're not as far in as they were, 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I think that they're still in. Yeah, they are. I mean,
Yeah. And 2 games tomorrow: Arizona, Iowa State, Houston, Kansas.
yeah.
Uh,
S-
not they're not playing for much, but they should be really good games still.
Should be playing really good games, and again, it's resume building opportunities. Protected seeds away from home, probably. Well, sans Kansas, I think. Houston, Iowa State, and Arizona are certainly a protected
I
seeds.
think Kansas is a protected seed. Also, Joby, they're a 4 seed at least, aren't they?
Yeah, Kansas is at least a 4 because I do think there is a drop between Texas Tech, also a Big 12 team, and your Vanderbilt, Arkansas, St. John's crowd. And so Kansas actually has a real shot, I think, to play themselves up to a 3 because there's a lot of variations. The loser of that Purdue Nebraska game, for instance, has to be looking over their shoulder, and Kansas is one of those teams. as I mentioned, along with the Virginia and Alabamas of the world that could take that spot.
Uh, it was SEC second round day. Mike, let me bring you back in here. We began with Kentucky over Missouri and Tennessee. Big come from behind win over Auburn.
Yeah, the Missouri Kentucky Missouri game was a good one. Two teams that should make the tournament, although Missouri is a little bit toward the cut line, but Kentucky's definitely in now with this win. As for Tennessee Auburn, Auburn led most of the game. I really thought they were going to pull this out, and if they had, they would make a strong case to be in the NCAA tournament, but they just fell apart down the stretch, and they finished the season only one game above 500. I do not see Auburn making the field.
Yeah, this was the big. I think they needed this game.
They did.
They're one game over 500 now. I get they played one of the toughest strength of schedules in the nation.
And they
But
took the
have a few-
court like just minutes after Miami lost their game against UMass, so
Yeah.
they knew what was at stake for this one.
And you say yes, but throw in there they have a home loss to Ole Miss. They have a loss at Mississippi State. They have some. They have a loss to Oklahoma. They have
Yeah.
lost. They have some bad losses here. It's not like they only lost to top 10 teams. Yes, they have. I believe about 10 quad 1A losses, but still, you got to win something. You
Yeah,
got to win some games.
you got to hold serve in the games where you're playing teams outside the bubble, and they have not always done that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Griggs, their profile is a win at Florida, a neutral court win over St. John's, and home wins over Arkansas and Kentucky.
Yeah, which is
Uh,
good,
but-
but it's offset by some of the losses
16
that you
losses.
just mentioned. Yeah,
16
16
losses.
losses, too many.
And,
Yeah.
and with a number of at-larges lower than normal, usually the at-large cutoff line is around team number 48. Like 48 teams are either auto bids or at-larges. We don't have 12 conferences with at-larges this year.
yeah,
And so the number is now shrunk from what I can see to 45. And in those three spots, a 16 loss with only one game above 500 Auburn team just isn't there for that.
And we kind of teased this earlier in the previous conference. Teams like Texas should even be more frightened of a team like Oklahoma, who's suddenly gotten red hot. And if they beat
Yep.
Arkansas, Texas is really going to be sweating for the next 48 to 72 hours.
Yeah, Oklahoma is suddenly on the map. I agree with you completely. I think they got to beat Arkansas tomorrow, but if they do, we get serious about them. And meanwhile, by the way, do we have a Cinderella story brewing here in Ole Miss, who not only beat Texas but then beat Georgia today, and now they get Alabama tomorrow, Griggs?
for a, I can't see Ole Miss going all the way to win the auto bid. I don't think they get by Bama tomorrow, but maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. Good answer. Maybe.
Yeah.
Good precise.
I mean, I have done the research, and I am backing it up that is one of two possibilities.
Okay. Mountain West Conference. It's quarterfinal round day today. Utah State had no problem with UNLV. Nevada and Grand Canyon, though, played a really good game. Nevada found a way to win.
Yeah.
San Diego State beat Colorado State. And as we record this, New Mexico and San Jose State in a very close game late in the first half, which would torpedo New Mexico's at-large chances if they can't find a way to win this.
Well, I mean, it should. I mean, they're playing San Jose State, who has advanced to the nano finals of the NCAA championship. Big win last night. They're just 9 wins away, and they are phenomenally coached.
I would like
Joby,
to
I know you love
apologize
this.
for calling that upset.
Joby, I know you love this conference here. I guess one of the questions here is we got this Utah State Nevada game. We got San Diego State maybe against New Mexico tomorrow. Is there a path for a second bid if Utah State wins this for that opponent in the championship game?
And much to my chagrin, I mean, New Mexico's the key because San Diego State is not that answer. And if New Mexico advances and loses to Utah State, and there is a lack of bid thieves, and if I were New Mexico, I'd think about being a bid thief real hard because that's one way in, and that might be the better way in because they're fighting right now with the Texases of the world, with the SMUs, with the Virginia Commonwealths. It's very toss-uppy if you leave it to chance after losing. First of all, beat Tim Miles. Next, beat a number two seeded, higher than you, seeded San Diego State, and then Utah State's not an easy path, but they might have to win all the way through. They just might because
And Utah State could be in trouble tomorrow with Nevada. As our friend John Teitel pointed out, I was championing this Nevada team for a while, and here they are making a bit of a run. Got the nice win today, so
I think they can win that game tomorrow.
And I should add, if any head coach has experience winning conference tournaments, look at Eric Golan in New Mexico. He won last year with UC San Diego, and we'll see if he's one step along the way after tonight.
Atlantic 10. How about this? Through the first 4 games of the Atlantic 10, the lower seed team won all 4 of them. After 2 upsets yesterday, and then GW, mild upset over Fordham. St. Bonaventure, slightly bigger upset over George Mason as Mark Schmidt's career continues here.
Yeah, George Mason fell apart. At one time, we were talking about them as a possible at large, and just horrible day for George Mason, knocked out of the A10 tournament, and then they learn that there's no CBI.
In the evening games, Duquesne beats Rhode Island. Tyler Cochran for Rhode Island, 34 points, hit 9 3-pointers in this game, but his team still could not win. Duquesne gets the win, and Mike also Davidson on overtime over Loyola Chicago. We almost had another upset there.
Yeah, I thought for a second Loyola Chicago was going to pull it off for the second straight day, but Davidson played well down the stretch, and they found a way to win and advance.
Yeah.
I think this might be the first tournament game that's being played above a stock market ticker, seeing as how CNBC is going to be covering the game as opposed to USA.
Yeah, thank you. I want to point that out. The late game tomorrow night is not on USA Network. It will be on CNBC because USA has wrestling on, and that's more important to them than the Atlantic 10 apparently.
The A10 is getting preempted for wrestling.
Friday Night Raw, man. Friday Night Raw. Oh, wait a minute. It's Monday Night Raw. Wait a minute. What?
Friday night, whatever. Friday night,
SmackDown.
SmackDown. There we go.
Thank you, Stalika.
Joey, what do you think? St. Louis and VCU are the 2 big stories here. Will they get through tomorrow's games? Especially that these games are on Duquesne's home court.
Yeah, you pointed out a very key component that it's in Pittsburgh, and that does this become a Cinderella story for Duquesne? It's not like they haven't done it recently, so there's a little something there. I assume VCU will still be able to take care of business, and they have to. VCU loses tomorrow, they get put right into the bag with Indiana and some of these other guys who just, had Cincinnati, who had shots but just couldn't fully take advantage of it. Auburn. And so VCU needs to do what needs to go forward. St. Louis, obviously, not obviously, but St. Louis probably has a little more rope. But, losing to GW, it's not awful, but it ain't good. And if all of a sudden, ironically, a Duquesne wins this tournament and steals a bid, it could be yours.
Yeah. The 2 games, Dayton, St. Bonaventure, see if Schmidt can go for one more game still, and St. Joe's Davidson, the late game, but on CNBC. But Salika, it was a second round day, I guess we call it, in the American. Charlotte beat Tulane, North Texas beat Florida Atlantic. I guess the second game was kind of a close one, but did these games even matter?
We saw the most magnificent lane violation in the history of the sport tonight.
Yeah, it was not in the classic Conference USA half of this bracket, but what the puppet was alluding to was the North Texas Florida Atlantic game where it looked like, I think it was one of the North Texas players that just face planted in the free throw lane during the final minute.
Yeah.
It was crazy. These games, again, we're really looking at South Florida, who still doesn't even play until Saturday. But tomorrow we get to see what UAB does whether they UAB was perfect on the road in the American, one of the most amazing stats
Wait a
ever.
minute. That
Yeah.
is the entire Conference USA Southern
Yeah.
Division from back in the day.
Yeah, it is.
It is. But UAB Charlotte, will UAB treat this as a home game because they're in their home city, or is it a road game because they're not in their building? We got to see which UAB team shows up. Tulsa,
Right.
North Texas for the other ones. Greg, do you have any predictions for tomorrow's games?
I do. I do. I think it's the chalk. I think both games are really good, but I think UAB and Tulsa get through.
Uh, Big West. One game has gone final already. Cal State Northridge beat UC San Diego. As we recorded this, though, Fullerton is up big on UC Davis early in the second half.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know that there's too much to really discuss with this round of games. More is looking forward to can Irvine and Hawaii tomorrow advance to the championship game.
Yeah, this Fullerton Irvine game, Hawaii was magnificent at home. They've struggled on the road, but in a tournament setting where they've been there for a little bit longer, they may be a little more adapted. I think these are two really. I'm actually looking forward to both these games. ESPNU I think has the both, so everybody should be.
ESPNU has, well, it's not on the screen if you read it.
Oh,
ESPNU
okay. Well,
did pick up the 9 o'clock game. ESPN2, the Hawaii
okay.
game.
So you can watch both of them, but I, I any anybody that's left, any of these four could easily win the tournament. There isn't a whole lot separating them, I don't think. Irvine probably had the best overall year. Well, they did, but I mean, Northridge has been playing so well.
I think these will be good games tomorrow. I think
Yeah,
this is where the conference finally gets good. Another conference that it's got interesting here. We had two quarterfinals today, Salika. We had Louisiana Tech beating Middle Tennessee, Kennesaw mild upset over Western Kentucky and kind of blowouts, but setting up 2 versus 6, okay. But with that Liberty loss the other night, now we got Louisiana Tech, Missouri State. One of them will be playing for the championship on Saturday.
Sam Houston's metrics aren't that far off from what Liberty had. Certainly, the Bearcats have played a lot much better of late than Liberty did,
they have. Yeah.
And Louisiana Tech, for all you conspiracy theorists, this is another team that has one foot out the door, but they made sure not to potentially leave a close game to chance in the hands of the officials, so they got by Middle Tennessee fairly comfortably.
Yeah. So these games tomorrow, though. Joby, got any picks on these two games tomorrow?
Um, I actually feel Sam Houston, I think it's the class of the field that's going to win the whole darn thing here. But watch out for Missouri State. When teams get on a roll, make the big upsets, sometimes they continue to make those upsets. We just saw our hockey team win its first gold medal since 80. People forget the big upset that everybody knows from 1980 was a semifinal game. Sometimes you get on a roll and you continue to do that roll, and maybe Missouri State can follow in that
Quanjo
realm.
Martin there at Missouri State also. We'll see what he can do. Make a
Yeah,
little
he's
run.
back for his second run there.
Mike, how
That's
about one
right.
of the more fun conferences today?
Woo, woo.
In the MEAC, we had the Delaware State upset happened yesterday, but today we had real close game and a mild upset with South Carolina State over Norfolk State, and then another overtime game, NC Central over Eastern Shore.
Yeah, two great games. I mean, very close for both games, and one of them went to overtime. A 5-over-4 is not really an upset, and then the 3 seed defeated the 6, so it was more chalky this time. But like I said, both games were very close and very competitive, so that's good for them.
Eastern Shore had a three at the buzzer to even force that overtime before NC Central won. You say 5-over-4 isn't much of an upset, but Griggs, Norfolk
Yeah.
State was our preseason pick to win this conference.
They were, and with with the games in Norfolk, you felt like Norfolk sort of underachieved the whole year. That it should have been them and Howard that ran away from the conference, and they didn't. And they showed signs of greatness, but they didn't play like that all the time, and they certainly didn't today. And it begs the question: Howard finally got it together in the latter part of the season. Do they still have it together, or does this tournament sort of collapse?
Well, I
Like
would
what we've
like
seen
to
it do it before.
I want to highlight a very important stat that Chad brought up during our selection committee meeting tonight. No one outside of Duke has won a pair of games in Cameron Indoor Stadium besides the Howard Bison.
Yeah.
They are definitely going to be tested here in the scope for the final 2 rounds.
Just
How
for
did the
clarification,
Bison play at Duke?
just for clarification, neither one of those games was against Duke, but they had
We
they were
don't need
part of
to.
it. They were part of an event with Duke where they played at that all the games were played at Cameron. That was one
Oh,
of the extra
okay.
wins, and then they had an extra game. I believe it was their game against was it the North Carolina A&T game that they played
Yeah.
at Cameron for some reason.
I don't know why they played it.
Chad has never heard of the expression "stop yucking my yum," but
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Howard, South Carolina State, Delaware State, NC Central. Griggs, I think we've had craziness in this conference so far. Almost had three upsets. I think we're gonna have chalk hole tomorrow.
I think you're right, but who knows? Yeah.
It'd be crazy to see Delaware State win this thing,
Yeah,
but
it really would. It would be wild.
Mhm.
Yes. I know what's next. I think. Yeah.
this is a slack.
The swag.
We had the 4-5 game with another overtime here. Alabama A&M knocking off Texas Southern, and then Southern over Pine Bluff in a close game as well.
Yeah.
Final shot was actually blocked. Pine Bluff had a chance to tie that game.
Yeah, that would have been wild to see Pine Bluff advance to the semis, but Southern survives, and it's you know I still think it's FAMU's tournament to win, but this is another one. Prairie View, to echo what Mike said, can they keep this run going and beat Alabama? I think they can. I think they can get to the championship game.
the J&G Chad actually has Alabama A&M coming out of this conference right now, and so
Really?
yes, so we'll see if the numbers don't lie. Hey, they need overtime to advance, so there's
That'd be a story. It's been 21 years since Alabama A&M was in the NCAA tournament, 2005. So be a heck of a story if they can. If
Yeah,
they
it
can
really would be.
One more conference to hit on, the WAC. Sleeka, we saw Texas Arlington beat Southern, hold on against Southern Utah, I would say. And as we record this, Utah Tech with a double-digit lead over Abilene Christian in the second half.
So it won't be an well, at the top half of the bracket, at least an all Beehive semifinal. Texas Arlington was another team that had been running a little hot and cold in the conference. And I think as we speak right now, let me get a score here. Utah
Okay.
Tech is up by 14 points against ACU.
Yep. So Joby tomorrow, Utah Valley, Arlington, Cal Baptist probably against Utah Tech. Are we headed for the top two seeds here?
I think well,
Because
let's
I don't think so.
referee
I picked Utah
situation.
Tech in this beginning in here.
Well, yeah, I think I assume everybody watches this and thus knows about the very raucous
Well, we've discussed it at
between
length.
Utah Valley. Does that lead to, I don't know, the officials of the WAC saying, "Hey, be really neat if Utah Valley didn't advance and didn't get money."
No, well,
So,
there is more spotlight and drama around the WAC tournament than in many, many years, probably since it was a multi-bid league, 30 years ago when
Right.
it actually was sending teams to be protected seeds and even to the Final Four.
but it was
but-
essentially the Mountain West.
Yeah, but I've said before, I want to see that. I want to see the most awkwardly awesome trophy presentation ever.
Will there be $1 million check inside the cup when it's handed?
Yeah. The WAC
For the
is probably going to
escrow
end
that
up
is being
owing them
let go.
a lot in back pay. So
But Cal Baptist, I will say this: Utah Valley is
yeah,
Utah Valley is the class, but Cal Baptist is certainly able to win this if they get on a roll. Cal Baptist is who I might be watching very closely.
That was it for all today's games and all
I
tomorrow's
think
games
to add
as
to
well.
Chad's point, it won't be a check for $1 million. It will be a collection letter for $1 million saying you still owe us for the exit fee.
yeah.
Yes.
Let's jump back. Let's jump up to our survival boards up there. Griggs, this is a tool we do for the NCAA
Yes.
Tournament, correct?
Yeah, it is because these are busy people. They're athletic directors. They have a lot of duties around the office. They got to answer the phones. They got to make sure that there's enough pens and paper, and they're just busy all the time, taking lunch orders. They don't have time to watch basketball, so like they need this board to help them out.
Right. And heading into the day today, we had 143 teams left on this board with a chance to win it
Yeah.
all. As a result of today's games, remembering that we will have two, if not three more teams go off the board a little later this evening by tomorrow morning. But as a result of today's games up to this point, 117.
Wow.
We are going to drop under 100 tomorrow.
Yep.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, two of the busiest days of all of championship week. 48 hours ago, we had close to 200 teams.
And we have teams in different categories here, Griggs. Let's take a look, for example, at the Big Ten.
Yes.
So we got teams that are in blue. Some of them like High Point in all caps, others like Nebraska, just a regular type. What does that
Yeah.
tell a committee member if they come here?
Oh, if it's all in blue, it tells them that they need to select the team. And you take a team, we'll take Michigan. And again, the committee, maybe the only Michigan game they saw was that game against Duke. They were flipping channels and they ran across it. And they're not so sure they could take Michigan. I mean, they lost the game, but then they come here and then they see that they should take them. Because again, the committee, they might not know how good Michigan is. They're busy doing other things.
But if they come here and they're looking at a team like, say, well, up here, Georgetown. Georgetown
Yeah.
just beat Villanova today. Maybe they should take Georgetown. For that
Yeah,
reason.
it's very understandable why the committee would think they should take Georgetown. I mean, they've had a really good week, but again, they come here and they cross-check it and they realize, oh, up until this week, Georgetown wasn't so good, so maybe we shouldn't take them after all.
But if they come here thinking about VCU, are we going to make the decision for them on that? Because they're in green.
No, like the green teams, and I know they hate the green team. No one knows that more than you, because they do not like the green teams. Those are the ones they have to kind of decide for themselves.
So they have to do a little bit of work.
And the committee's meeting tonight. Did you get any calls at all about green teams tonight, Chad?
Oh, I got about 30 of them, and half of them were
Wow.
about the Mountain West.
Yeah. And it's tough, and I get it. Like we try and help them out as much as we can.
Griggs, one more thing I want to check in before Sleeker gives us his report on the mock committee. I want to check in on the Griggs AI.
Oh, yes,
engine
this
here.
is an amazing.
'Cause I'm about $950 into this thing at this point, and I still have not gotten results that make any sense to me.
Well, sales are a little disappointing. I think people should be investing in this heavily because it's just genius level.
Well, I asked another search engine a question here, whether or not college basketball should play four quarters like the NBA and the women do instead of just two halves. I know that's a big issue with you, Chris.
Oh no, yeah, they don't want to do that.
And this other search engine, this other AI engine kind of gave me pros and cons of each. Mentioned growing support for quarters, but there's still some resistance to it. At the end, it actually said leans towards yes.
Oh God. Well, I mean, that this is just not a good, or you don't need that tool. It gave you the wrong answer.
Well, let's try to plug the same question to Griggs AI. See, I'm going to try the bonnet button first. No, it still doesn't work. We'll try the enter button instead. Then see what happens here.
Maybe you should have tried base first.
Maybe I should.
No. The men play 9 innings and the women play 7 innings in college basketball should absolutely not change this.
I want my money back. I really do.
Well, it got the answer right. No, it shouldn't change.
Let's jump over to, actually, before we get to actual final thoughts, Talika, I'm going to quickly pull this up here on the screen here. This is our mock committee results right from our website. If you want to give us a little report on what happened with the mock committee tonight.
We had a true Cinderella story here when we began with our Centenary and Stallings Awards. We had, 4 teams under consideration for the Centenary Award, where we were considering Mississippi Valley State, Gardner-Webb, Western Illinois, and the Air Force Academy, who had suddenly come into the picture with A, a 25-game losing streak, and B, their opener in the Mountain West tournament where they just fell flat on their faces and quickly fell behind. I think it was 34-6 after the under 4 timeouts. It actually ended up being, I think it was at the time, only two votes that went against Air Force, one human and one puppet. So
We got
congrats to the Air Force Falcons on being the first non under the radar team to win the Centenary Award.
we made a huge mistake.
Yeah, Boston College gets our Stallings Award for the worst power conference team. And you can see we voted, at this point, we have 34 teams in the field. Miami, Ohio, and Texas A&M are our next two teams up to potentially get in. We'll probably put about another 4 or 5 teams in tomorrow night and start seeding. So we'll check in on that again.
And if you want to be real specific, teams 23 through 34 were the ones we actually voted into the field. So in total, we end up voting 12 teams in tonight, and we're also guaranteed 3 more spots that are going to be opening up because the ACC, Big 12, and Big 10 are not going to have bid thieves this year.
Yep, at least those. We could definitely have more than
Yeah.
that double with these as well. But let's go to final thoughts here. Mike, let me start with you.
Wow, this is yeah, I think today's the most games played in the conference tournament, and even though the number of games are going to diminish starting tomorrow, it doesn't make it less meaningful. I'm interested to see whether Ole Miss can go all the way for the automatic bid. There's going to be a lot of good action tomorrow, and then I think I think as we go along, it's like it's pretty set on what teams we're going to pick and which who's going to be the top seeds and who's going to be near the bubble. Interested to see how Oklahoma does. Like you said, they've got to beat Arkansas, but if they do, I think they're going to steal a Texas or a Texas A&M bid.
Absolutely. Joby, I want to quickly know when we do our mock committee, one of the things about being a Centenary Stallings Award winner is you remain on the nomination board the whole time. You're not allowed to be voted off of it. And I had a great vote from you tonight because for the first time, I think ever in your life, you actually voted for a Mountain West team when you threw Air Force in one of your votes. Your final thoughts.
Oh, the Air Force. Their performance yesterday definitely swung my vote for the Stallings, or for for the Centenary. And for those who are interested, BC completely dominated the voting. I think it was unanimous.
It was.
Yeah. So, and my reference, I don't have anything queued up, or I'd be cute with it, but my reference to it was BC's. I think been the runner-up to the Stallings about 4 or 5 times, but they've never won it. They finally get it, and I referenced Mike Joy's famous call of Dale Earnhardt. 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration, and they finally get their Stallings Award. Congratulations, BC.
I'm just going to throw this out here. I don't know that we've 100% confirmed it, but there are statements going around that the Big 12 is going to be switching back to a hardwood court for tomorrow. I'm not 100% certain if this is real news or fake news, so we'll have to find out tomorrow. What's going on with Big 12.
It could be
I
done.
did hear from Rocco, so I do believe it.
Okay, Roger. If Rocco Miller confirmed it as well, then it's definitely true.
Yeah, and it takes about 3 hours to lay the floor down so they can get it down in plenty of time, especially if they work through the night, through the shootouts and all of this. And God, it is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Sleek, any other final thoughts?
Yeah, number one, I should also add, as far as Boston College, unlike Dale Earnhardt, they did not win on a yellow flag. They went green, white, checkered to win the whole thing. But as far as my actual final thought goes, we've played through 15 conference tournaments so far. We've only had 7 number 1 seeds that have actually ended up winning the whole thing. So if we want to recap quickly, it's High Point, Wright State, Long Island, Tennessee State, North Dakota State, Troy, and Gonzaga, who have pulled it off so far. So Mother Miami was, in a sense, already trying to fight uphill, trying to get a double, and now they'll wait. Although our feeling is we'll probably get them in. We actually have them on the doorstep of being considered, at least in our own selection committee proceedings.
Yeah, I think our committee will vote them in. I think they're going to be nervous on Sunday. Greg, you want to finish the show off?
Well, I just think that we made a huge mistake with one of the most prestigious awards in sports, where Air Force, while I was very impressed with what they've done, it's just, The non under the radar teams, they don't belong. It's like the old college football playoff. They don't belong in the centenary chase. And this was probably the biggest mistake we've made since 2012 when we gave it to Towson.
I know nothing. I see.
Wrong button there, I think. But yeah, on that note, Griggs, you're wrong, as always. But I do want to thank everybody for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow night with our second to last Championship Week video notebook, if I'm correct. But on behalf of David Griggs, John Salika, Joby Fortson, and Mike John, I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you again tomorrow night.